Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to part two of my Hamilton book haul, my favorite kind of book haul. Got a huge stack here, and I hope to get through it all in 30 minutes. So let's just keep on trucking. All right. Next book came from another University of Pennsylvania Press book. They just had a lot of stuff release off to the warehouse, I guess. But this looked really interesting, and I hadn't seen it anywhere else before. Came out in 2017. Ooh, this is Slavery and Silence. I'm trying to avoid the glare. Latin America and the U.S. Slave Debate by Paul D. Nash. Or Nash. So, not too big of a book, but nice cover. I really like that cover. Slavery and Silence. So let's see what this one covers here. In the 35 years before the Civil War, it became increasingly difficult for Americans outside the world of politics to have frank and open discussions about the institution of slavery, as divisive sectionalism and heated ideological rhetoric circumscribed public debate. To talk about slavery was to explore or deny its obvious shortcomings, its inhumanity, its contradictions. To celebrate it required explaining away the nation's proclaimed belief in equality and its public promise of rights for all, while to condemn it was to insult people who might be related by ties of blood, friendship, or business, and perhaps even to threaten the very economy and political stability of the nation. For this reason, Paul D. Nash argues, Americans displaced their most provocative criticism and darkest fears about the institution onto Latin America. Interesting. Nash bolsters this seemingly counterintuitive argument with a compelling focus on realms of public expression that have drawn sparse attention in previous scholarship on this era. In novels, diaries, correspondence, and scientific writings, he contends the heat and bluster of the political arena was muted, and discussions of slavery staged in these venues often turned their attention south of the Rio Grande. At once familiar and foreign, Cuba, Brazil, Haiti, and the independent republics of Spanish America provided rhetorical landscapes about which everyday citizens could speak through both outright comparisons or implicit metaphors, what might otherwise be unsayable when talking about slavery at home. Be great if you give me an example here. At a time of ominous sectional fracture, Americans of many persuasions, Northerners and Southerners, Whigs and Democrats, scholars secure in their libraries and settlers vulnerable on the Mexican frontier found unity in their disparagement of Latin America. This displacement of anxiety helped create a superficial feeling of nationalism as the country careened toward disunity of the most violent, politically charged, and consequential sort. Oh. Well, this author's no longer alive. He just died in 2016. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. So I think we're definitely going to be diving into the Mexican-American War of 1848 for sure. I'm curious to see how he takes this argument and, spins it out from like Cuba, South America, those types of places, or Caribbean America. The Caribbean. Very fascinating premise. We'll see if it actually, makes sense once I start reading it. But Slavery and Silence, it seemed like a kind of an arcane topic. Latin America and the U.S. slave debate. That's not something you hear all the time. Okay, I'm trying to put this here. Okay, where are we going next? We're going to go to, let's go to China. Okay, this is put out by Custom House Books. It's a publisher I'm getting kind of used to now. I've read several of their books and reviewed a few for publication. What? Okay, but this came out in 2020. This is We Have Been Harmonized, Life in China's Surveillance State by Kai Strittmatter. Love it. All right, Custom House. This just appeals to me. I always want to learn more about crazy authoritarian states, as you know. Sorry. Hailed as a masterwork of reporting and analysis and based on decades of research, We Have Been Harmonized by journalist Kai Strittmatter, love that name, offers a groundbreaking look at how the internet and high tech have allowed China to create the largest and most effective surveillance state in history. China's new drive for repression is being underpinned by unprecedented advances in technology, facial and voice recognition, GPS tracking, supercomputer databases, intercepted cell phone conversations, the monitoring of app use, and millions of high-resolution security cameras make it nearly impossible for a Chinese citizen to hide anything from authorities. Terrifying. Commercial transactions, including food deliveries and online purchases, are fed into vast databases, along with everything from biometric information to social media activities to methods of birth control. Cameras so advanced that they can locate a single person within a stadium crowd of 60,000, scan for faces and walking patterns to track each individual's movement. This gets more and more horrifying the more I read. In some schools, children's facial expressions are monitored to make sure they are paying attention at the right times. Holy crap! In a new social credit system, each citizen is given a score for good behavior. For those who rate poorly, punishments include being banned from flying or taking high-speed trains, exclusion from certain jobs, and preventing their children from attending better schools. And it gets worse. Advanced surveillance has led to the imprisonment of more than 1 million Chinese citizens in Western China alone, many held in draconian re-education camps. Now, you think this can't happen here? Just give it enough time. Give it enough time. This digital totalitarianism has been made possible not only with the help of Chinese private tech companies, but the complicity, you got it, of Western governments and corporations eager to gain access to China's huge market. See, they don't give a shoo. You know, I was going to swear. Sorry. And while governments debate trade wars and tariffs, the Chinese Communist Party and its local partners are aggressively stepping up their efforts to export their surveillance technology abroad, including here to the United States. What'd I tell you? We Have Been Harmonized is a terrifying portrait of life under unprecedented government surveillance and a dire warning about what could happen anywhere under the pretense of national security. So, I think this is a must-read, and I'm bumping this up to the top of my stack. Heck yeah. All right, now where are we going to move? Okay. This goes all over the place. Woo! All right. Let's go to psychology of all things. And now I haven't read a lot about this guy, but I feel like I should know more. And I thought a biography might be just perfect for me. So a lot of you psychology fans might be intrigued to hear about this title. This is Freud, The Making of an Illusion by Frederick Crews. There you go. It came out by Metropolitan Books, another one I've been introduced to lately. They've got some really interesting titles. So this one came out in 2017. And there's our subject at a very young age. All right, let's see how Crews handles this. Oh, apparently Crews is one of the masters of... He's a master... Okay, so it says here, from the master of Freud debunkers. Okay, so a lot of you Freud fans out there might be a little irate at this. But let's just see what he has to say. This is the book that definitively puts an end to the myth of psychoanalysis and its creator. All right. So that's a cannon shot right there. Since the 1970s, Sigmund Freud's scientific reputation has been in an accelerating tailspin, and for excellent reasons. That's what the copy says, and for excellent reasons. Nevertheless, the idea persists that some of his proposals were visionary discoveries. In Freud, The Making of an Illusion, Frederick Crews investigates the record and reveals findings that will revolutionize our conception of the therapist, the theorist, and the human being. Drawing on rarely consulted archives, Crews shows us a man who blundered tragicomically in his dealings with patients, who never produced a corroborated cure, who promoted cocaine in one decade and was deluded by it in the next, who misunderstood the psychological controversies of the era and who advanced his career through falsifying case histories and betraying the mentors who had helped him to rise. The contrary legend has persisted, Crew shows, thanks to Freud's self-fashioning as a master detective of the psyche, and later through a campaign of censorship and obfuscation conducted by his followers. A monumental biographical study and a slashing critique, Freud, The Making of an Illusion, will stand as the last word on one of the most significant and contested figures of the 20th century. Now, I doubt this will be the last word, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone, how the Freud camp would refute these claims, but I'm excited to dig in and learn more about this guy and what was his appeal really. His theories I thought were just whatever. Oh, okay. Well, let's just get this out of the way right now. When I ordered this book, the invasion of Ukraine hadn't begun, but Russia was kind of close to the border. They were threatening. So I was like, I think this might be interesting. I think I need to understand the foreign policy going on in Russia. So, wow. So this is another book I definitely is bumping up to the top of my bedside table. So I want to kind of read it before, I don't know, a nuclear bomb goes off. But this is Not by Bread Alone. Russian Foreign Policy Under Putin by Robert Nalbandov. Kind of a creepy cover right there. It's put out by Potomac Books, another new publisher I've really been enjoying lately. Okay. Since its independence in 1991, Russia has struggled with the growing pains of defining its role in international politics. After Vladimir Putin ascended to power in 2000, the country undertook grandiose foreign policy projects in an attempt to delineate its place among the world's superpowers. With this in mind, Robert Nalbandov examines the milestones of Russia's international relations since the turn of the 21st century. He focuses on the specific goals, engagement practices, and tools used by Putin's administration to promote Russia's vital national and strategic interests in specific geographic locations. His findings illuminate Putin's foreign policy objective of reinstituting Russian global strategic dominance. Nalbandov argues that identity-based politics have dominated Putin's tenure and that Russia's East-West split is reflected in Asian-European politics. Nalbandov's analysis shows that unchecked domestic power, an almost exclusive application of hard power, and determined ambition for unabridged global influence and a defined place as a world superpower are the keys to Putin's Russia. Well, he was right. I mean, on all fronts. I mean, this guy... And he wrote this in 2016, so he could see the writing on the wall. Just kind of stumbled across this while I was browsing the online stacks at Hamilton Book, and I said, yep. I've read several books on Putin's Russia and about Putin himself, but this was a new author, and I was really excited to get this, and I'm going to check it out. Definitely, again, this one in the China book. I'm going to be bumped up to my current events reading on the bedside table. So I've got a couple I'm going to save for the end and end on a lighter note, but let's keep going here. All right, so in the last video I ended with a kind of like a women's rights kind of book by Ayaan Hirsi Ali. This is another female writer that I've always really enjoyed, and I like her because she's not afraid to stir things up. I don't think she instigates so much as she speaks her mind, and it can be appalling to some people and just bracingly honest for others. I'm not saying I agree with everything that she's said, but I find her endlessly entertaining and fascinating, and in many cases brilliant. She's deeply read, and I think highly intelligent, but a little bit of a fire starter for sure. And a perfect name for the book is Provocations. This is Camille Paglia, ladies and gentlemen. Her collected essays, Provocations. So this is just, when I saw, I was wanting to get this, and this is put out by Pantheon Books. I have a few of Paglia's books. I mean, Sexual Personae was her most well-known book back in the day. That was came out in the early 90s or mid 90s. I mean, the last one I showed on this channel was Free Women, Free Men, Sex, Gender, Feminism. She's just endlessly, like I said, entertaining, and I love her essays. She knows so much about art, movies, just cinema, gender, imagery, symbolism. And I just find her fascinating. So this is it right here, the definitive Camille Paglia collection, a lavishly comprehensive volume of writing that spans 25 years of the intellectual firebrand's influential career. Much has changed since Camille Paglia first burst onto the scene with her groundbreaking Sexual Personae. But the laser-sharp insights of this major American thinker continue to be ahead of the curve, not only capturing the tone of the moment, but also often anticipating it. Opening with a blazing manifesto of an introduction in which Paglia outlines the bedrock beliefs that inform her writing: freedom of speech, the necessity of fearless inquiry, and a deep respect for all art, both erudite and popular. Provocations gathers together a rich, varied body of work that illuminates everything from the Odyssey, like Homer's Odyssey, to the Oscars, from punk rock to presidents past and present. Whatever your political inclination or literary and artistic touchstones, Paglia's takes are compulsively readable, thought-provoking, galvanizing, and an essential part of our cultural dialogue, invariably giving voice to what most needs to be said. Yeah. So I'm excited. Let's give you a snippet of some of the... Let's see the category breakdowns on these essays are popular culture. She's got film. Oh, popular culture. She's got a chapter on the death of Prince. I definitely want to read that. I think, God, he was just amazing. Oh my God, I loved him. Death of Gianni Versace, the Italian way of death. Then she goes into film, talks about Hitchcock. Then a section on sex, gender, and women. Literature. I mean, she writes about Shakespeare, Tennessee Williams, Western love poetry. Then she goes into art, then education, politics, religion, and so and so. So, and I love the introduction. This is her in a nutshell. First line of the introduction that she writes, it says, "This book is not for everyone." See, I love it. I mean, like I said, I don't agree with her on everything, but I'm challenged, and I like reading that. It says here, it is not for those who believe that they and their friends, allies, political parties, or churches have found the absolute truth about mankind, present or future. It is not for those who believe that language must be policed to serve what they view as a higher social good, nor is it for those who grant to government and its proxies on college campuses the right to require and enforce correct, quote-unquote, correct thinking. It is not for those who believe that art is a servant of political agendas or philanthropic goals, or that it contains hidden coercive messages that must be exposed and destroyed. It is not for those who see women as victims and men as the enemy, or who think that women are incapable of asserting their rights and human dignity everywhere, including the workplace, without the intervention and protection of authority figures deputized by the power of the state. You can see where I'm going with this. You're not safe in any of these descriptions. Like, you're going to disagree with something, It is not for those who see human behavior as wholly formed by oppressive social forces and who deny the shadowy influence of evolution and biology on desire, fantasy, and anarchic impulse from love to crime. This book is instead for those who elevate free thought and free speech over all other values, including material considerations of wealth, status, or physical well-being. And then she goes on and on about what else this book, who else it is for. I just find it bracing. I love it. So happy to finally get this in my collection. So that's Provocations by Camille Paglia. All right. Okay. So this was an impulse buy, but another book by Potomac Books, again, a publisher I've really been intrigued by lately. So this sounded very interesting. A little bit more different than I'm used to reading, but well, maybe not. I don't know. I think it all ties in historically, but this is The Prometheus Bomb, The Manhattan Project, and Government in the Dark by J Sullivan. Okay. After I read the description a few times, I'm like, you know what? I'd like to give this a try. And it was like $5.95, so I said, why not? We're at 20 minutes. I think we're doing okay. I've got a couple of other things to show. This came out in 2016. So it says here, during World War II, the lives of millions of Americans lay precariously in the hands of a few brilliant scientists who raced to develop the first weapon of mass destruction. Elected officials gave the scientists free rein in the Manhattan Project without understanding the complexities and dangers involved in splitting the atom. The Manhattan Project was the first example of a new type of choice for congressmen, presidents, and other government officials. Life and death on a national scale. From that moment, our government began fashioning public policy for issues of scientific development, discoveries, and inventions that could secure or threaten our existence and our future. But those same men and women had no training in such fields, did not understand the ramifications of the research, and relied on incomplete information to form potentially life-changing decisions. Through the story of the Manhattan Project, J Sullivan asks by what criteria the people in charge at the time made such critical decisions. He also ponders how similar judgments are reached today with similar incomprehension from those at the top. Another terrifying read, as our society dives down the potential rabbit hole of bioengineering, nanotechnology, and scientific developments yet to come. So yeah, another book where it woo, along with the China book on the use of technology to surveil in a huge micro and macro sense. This one challenges the rights of these people in the past and the people to come to make such life-altering decisions. Based on what? What do you really know? So, interesting. I'd never heard of it. Put out by Potomac Books a few years ago. So I picked up The Prometheus Bomb. I'm really looking forward to that as well. All right, now we're going to go back to a tried and true area. Not so controversial, I guess. World War II. German command in World War II. We have Erwin Rommel. I've always been really intrigued by his story. I still haven't been able to really grasp yet how on board he was with Hitler. I think he still was. I think he was. You kind of want him to be the rogue guy that was just kind of off on his own. I mean, he was highly skilled commander. You know, I don't know. But this is another biography on him that I wanted to check out and try to see if I have some more information to make up my mind. But this is Desert Fox, the storied military career of Erwin Rommel. Samuel W. Mitchum, Jr. is the author. Now, it is the military career, but I think it's going to fill in some gaps I have. This is put out by Regnery History. This one was fairly recent as well, 2019. So we're looking at the enigma of the Desert Fox. Just who was Erwin Rommel? War hero or war criminal? Hitler flunky or man of integrity? Military genius or just lucky? Samuel W. Mitchum Jr. gets to the heart of the mysterious figure, respected and even admired by the people of the Allied nations he fought against. Mitchum recounts Rommel's improbable and meteoric military career, his epic battles in North Africa, and his fraught relationship with Hitler and the Nazi Party. So this book says it's going to reveal how Rommel's victories in North Africa were sabotaged by Hitler's incompetent interference, how Rommel burned orders telling him to commit war crimes, why it wouldn't have helped Patton if you really had read Rommel's book, how Rommel was responsible for the Germans' defense against the D-Day landing. I already know about that. Why the plot to overthrow Hitler was fatally compromised when Rommel was gravely injured in an Allied attack. The reason Rommel agreed to commit suicide after his part in the plot was discovered by Hitler. Mitchum's gripping account of Rommel's life takes you through the amazing adventure of the World War II battles in North Africa. Again and again, Rommel outfoxed the Allies until the war of attrition and Hitler's blunders doomed the Axis cause. All right, this illuminating biography paints a fascinating and tragic picture of the man known as the Desert Fox. I think I have one other book on Rommel, or two, but I've watched countless documentaries on the guy. But yeah, I kind of wanted to add to my library on just knowing more about Rommel. So that is another great pickup from Hamilton Books. My favorite kind of book haul. That's probably going to be the name of my video. Okay, so then I picked up a couple of, well, two of these are, I think, these are essays, and that's a piece of literature. Okay, let's do this. This is a very slim little trade paperback from Penguin. I think I have one other book on this topic, but I've always been intrigued by sugar as a crop and what it did to the world. So this is Sweetness and Power, The Place of Sugar in Modern History by Sidney W. Mintz. Again, a little tiny paperback, small read, about 200 pages. It says, in this eye-opening study, Sidney Mintz shows how Europeans and Americans transformed sugar from a rare foreign luxury to a commonplace necessity of modern life, and how it changed the history of capitalism and industry. He discusses the production and consumption of sugar and reveals how closely interwoven are sugar's origins as a slave crop grown in Europe's tropical colonies, with its use first as an extravagant luxury for the aristocracy, then as a staple of the diet of the new industrial proletariat. Finally, he considers how sugar has altered work patterns, eating habits, and our diet in modern times. Don't I know all about it? Don't we all? So that's Sweetness and Power. And gosh. Okay, so I saw, this is another Penguin Classics, or Penguin Modern Classics. And this is, I think I have another book by this author, Ryszard Kapuscinski, and this is The Emperor. Small little volume. Again, Penguin Modern Classics. Sorry for the glare. Okay. This is about Haile Selassie. After the fall of Haile Selassie in 1974, which ended the ancient rule of the Abyssinian monarchy, Ryszard Kapuscinski traveled to Ethiopia and sought out surviving courtiers to listen to their stories. Here, their eloquent and ironic voices depict the lavish, corrupt world they had known, from the rituals, hierarchies, and intrigues at court to the vagaries of a ruler who maintained absolute power over his impoverished people. Dramatic and mesmerizing, The Emperor is one of the great works of reportage and a haunting epitaph on the last moments of a dying regime. Okay, for some reason I thought it was fiction, but no, I'm glad it's not. I much prefer to have this be just a piece of journalism. I don't know much about the fall of the Abyssinian monarchy and Haile Selassie. I've heard of the name several times, but yeah. Hamilton book, what a find. Okay, and then another book of, well, this is a book of essays. And it was a winner of the 1993 National Jewish Book Award. Interesting. This is put out by, I can't tell what publisher this is, Grove Press. And this came out in, well, this was written in 1992. I think it's a classic, but I have not read it. This is strange picture and strange title, On Clowns, The Dictator and the Artist, Essays by Norman Minea. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this. This is news to me. So, but I read the description and I said, ooh, this sounds really good. Here we go. Okay, survivor of the Nazi camps in Ceausescu's, Romania, winner of the National Jewish Book Award, recipient of a MacArthur Award and a Guggenheim Fellowship, Norman Minea, an extraordinary man of letters, gives us a taste of something beyond the scope of even our 20th century imagination. See, these are all blurbs. I don't have an actual description of the book. Shoot, I should have pulled that up for you guys. Minea is too profound a witness to place his gift for observation in the service of another sensationalist account. What matters for him is the phenomenon of an entire nation's life under this simultaneously grotesque and terrifying rule. So this is about Ceausescu. Yeah, it's about Romania. Okay, I'm just going to read you real quick, like the first paragraph from the author's note. Upon my arrival in the West a few years ago, and this was written in 1992, The urge to describe what my life had been like under the dictatorship in Romania, and more important, what I had learned from my experiences, clashed with a reluctance to add to the exposés of suffering already classified and commercialized in the repertory of East European dissidents. No matter how phantasmagoric its stagings often were, the totalitarian society from which I had come was not, as Western audiences prefer to believe, some sort of unearthly demonic aberration, but a human reality that still persists and may indeed revive in other guises as an ideology and as a form of society. Wow. Okay, this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. Good stuff. Oh, that gets you thinking. Okay, guys, we're going to lighten things up at the 30-minute mark. So now we have some anthologies, a couple of anthologies. I think I might have shown you, I know I have, I just don't know how long ago and in which videos, but I have a couple of collections by the editor Otto Penzler, who seems to collect just a variety of awesome stories of different genres, and he bundles them all up from different eras and ages past. Different writers, different countries, whatever, and he bundles them up for our enjoyment. So I have the what is it called? The Big Book of Espionage. I have that one. I think it's over there. Yes, and I have another one by him, I think. But whenever I see these, I've got to get them. Okay, are you guys ready? And you know I love mysteries, right? So when I saw, and so far I only have paperbacks. I think the espionage one is the only one I have of his, and it is it's a softcover. This is a hardcover, so I'm really excited to get this. This is the Black Lizard Big Book of Locked Room Mysteries. Look at this cover, isn't this fun? The most complete collection of impossible crime stories ever assembled. Edited and with an introduction by the inimitable Otto Penzler. And look at this. It's hardcover, baby. Ah, how fun is this? Found this on Hamilton Book. If you're a big fan of Otto Penzler, go to Hamilton Book. You're going to find this and another one that just came off of back order again. They have it in stock again. I'll show you the last one. It's going to be really silly and you're going to love it. So yeah, it's just a collection of mystery stories from different, let me get Invisible Man, G.K. Chesterton, A Terribly Strange Bed by Wilkie Collins, The Murders in the Rue Morgue, Edgar Allan Poe. Dashiell Hammett. We've got a lot of writers I don't even recognize. And some I do. Oh, Georges Simenon, the Maigret writer. Stephen King, of course. Arthur Conan Doyle. Carter Dickson. John Lutz. Peter Godfrey. Tons of cool stuff. I mean, isn't this great? You can just dip in and dip out. Read a story. Go about your day. You know, come back to it. Check it out again. Ellery Queen. Isn't this fun? All right, I just had to get it. So now I have, three. I can't remember if I had a fourth Otto Penzler. I think I wanted to buy one, but it was back ordered. So then this one, yes, Zombies. Another hardcover, and I got it for a song. Guys, if you love Otto Penzler's anthologies, go to hamiltonbook.com and just type in his name in the search field, and you'll probably find Locked Room Mysteries and the zombie one. Although you have to move quickly because this one goes on back order a lot. The most complete collection of zombie stories ever published, including stories by Stephen King, Edgar Allan Poe, H.P. Lovecraft, Harlan Ellison, Robert Bloch, Mort Castle, Theodore Sturgeon, and many, many more. Who doesn't love a good old zombie story? Well, hello. What's going on here? Death and suffrage, neat little illustrations. I mean, just fun stuff, you know. The Grave Gives Up by Jack Darcy. Oh, look at it. It even includes the original artwork that was in the where they were printed. All right. Anyway, you get the picture. I'm trying to remember how much I paid for these. I think $7.95 or something like that. But I've got 2 Otto Penzler collections to go with my espionage collection, and I'm always looking for any others that he puts out. So with that, guys, that ends my 2-part, my most favorite kind of book haul, which is Hamilton book. And I wonder too if people wonder if when I write Hamilton book in my title line, if they wonder, oh, she's just got more books on Alexander Hamilton, how boring. So I think I'm going to leave Hamilton book off the title just so that I can get people to realize, no, these are just bargain books from my favorite bargain outlet, hamiltonbook.com. All right, guys, well, let me know what you think of all these books, and I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below, and I definitely am going to be making more videos more frequently. You're going to see a new one here in the next couple of days, so you're not going to have to wait another 10 days. Promise you that. All right, guys, until next time, thanks for joining me at the History Shelf, and take care. Bye.